Please like, subscribe, and share. Most importantly, give us a thumbs up on Daisy. Daisy says, share with your friends and your family from all over the world. Hey everybody, it's David again. Today, I'm back in the kitchen, and I want to talk to you about what we call in America fried pies. Now, you can think of them as kind of like empanada is that dish that has a bunch of meat and vegetables stuffed into a dough and it's deep fried. This is very similar to that. Now, the origins in America, at least, are in the South. And why in the South, the southern states, was when they would do harvesting of the peaches, apples, what they would do with the ones that were slightly bruised or weren't being consumed quick enough, they would turn them into fried pies. So today I'm going to go over with you a non-fried fried pie, meaning I'm going to bake them. So let me tell you about my ingredients. So it is still kind of winter here. There's no fresh fruit really available. So I'm going to use a can of fruit cocktail mix. Now with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a pot and I'm going to cook it down and I'm going to squish it, and I'll show you guys all of that. I'm going to make it kind of a puree. Now, being the fact that it's in a can, it's probably already sweetened with the heavy syrup. So I'm not going to add any sugar to my canned fruit, but I am going to add a little cornstarch for a thickener, because when we're all done, we want this to be kind of like oatmeal, thick oatmeal, all right? Now, last summer, I have some leftover summer peaches that I've saved back, and I'm going to use these also. I'm going to do something a little different with these. Since these were peaches off the tree, they're nowhere near as sweet because there's no sweetness added like in canned fruit. So this time I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, just a little. We're trying to cut down our sugar content, so I'm just going to add a little. And I'll add some cornstarch for thickener because we want that consistency. Now keep in mind, if you're using like cherries are tart, so you're definitely going to have to add a sweetener of some kind to it. If you're doing mangoes, which is fabulous in this dish, you don't really need to add anything but maybe a little thickener to it. You can add cornstarch or gelatin, but cornstarch works, I think, the best. But that works really well, so kind of keep that in mind. Granny Smith apples are really bitter. Fiji apples are more sweet, so just depending on what you like. And you can put anything in these, any type of fruit you want, you just go for it. All right, so here's the dough that I'm going to be using today. This is a store-bought pie crust. Now you can make your own pie crust dough, which is easy, or you can buy it like we did because I'm lazy. You can also use biscuits. You could use pancake mix. Like you could actually use pancakes, make a pancake and flatten it and use that and then fry it. But you can also use croissants. So you use the croissant dough, same way. So this is pre-bought pie crust. Now, one thing I'm going to do is on my cutting board here, I'm going to put some powdered sugar on this instead of flour. But since I'm making kind of a sweeter dish, I don't want it to be real chalky tasting or real dry. So I'm going to dust my board with powdered sugar. And I'm simply just gonna, this is what you call a sifter, and we can just do this, all right? Nice little sprinkles. The good news is I'm going to use this when the pies are completely done and sprinkle over the top after they're cooled down a little bit. All right, let's see if this works. So my goal today is I'm going to kind of make some small fruit pies. I'm not going to make them real big. So let's try to roll this out. There we go. And the powdered sugar is just helping to keep it from sticking to the board, which is what I want. Now, instead of making one big fried pie, I'm going to make a few small ones. So I'm going to do my best to get as many little circles out of this as I can. Alright, so now this is going to be the size of my fried pie. We're going to put a little in there. Alright, so that's what we're going to do with our dough. Now a couple things I want to share with you. Remember, all you got to do is this excess dough, just put it together, roll it out with a rolling pin, and you got a whole bunch of more dough. So here's something that's going to be important, I think. Since we're making baked fried pies versus fried pies in oil, I'm going to be using my trusty baking sheet that I've used a lot over the years that has all these little perforated or divots in it. And so there's a lot of bumps all through this pan. What this allows it to happen is when the dough or the pastry is sitting on here, the heat is going to be able to circulate under the dough and help brown it and cook it and make it so much better. If you have just a flat sheet, well, it's not going to do as well. And it's going to have a tendency to burn on the bottom of it because of the metal. So if you got one of these, this is a good way to go about that. Now remember, if you don't want to bake them, you just fry them in oil for about 3 to 5 minutes on each side. And these are small. So I would say 2 to 3 minutes on each side until they're brown and crispy and kind of floaty. And you are good to go. But we're going to try to bake ours. All right, I'm going to work on my fruit puree, and I'll show you that in a minute. All right, so all I'm doing is basically dumping my fruit into the pot, and I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then I'm actually going to squish it with a potato smasher. But let's bring it up to a boil and get it cooking down before we add anything to it. All right, so we've got it boiled down, we got it pureed up, and what I want to do now is add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch to that. It doesn't take a lot. And let's see. We'll get our whisk out, and we're going to whisk this all together. All right, and then here's what's very important, guys. After it mixes up nicely, we're going to let it cool down. We're going to put it in the refrigerator and let it set up for a good hour before we put it in the pastry dough. All right, guys. So I've got my fruit puree made. Now, I really pureed this a lot, so it's really fine. If you like your fruit a little chunkier, then that's fine too. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. Now, on an interesting side note about fruit pies. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, McDonald's, right? they used to sell fruit pies, and they advertised them of having fruit pies. Well, they got sued and lost because their fruit pies had no real fruit in the fruit pies. So, a tip for today, if you're going to make a fruit pie, make sure you put fruit in your pie. All right, let me show you what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to take one of my little rounds that I made, and the key is not to overfill it. All right, we don't want to put oogles and oogles amounts of fruit in here. So don't overfill. Then you can just simply fold them like a taco or a dumpling. Push the edges down. Take you a fork, you can see, and you can go around the edges like this. And you got a baby fruit pie. And we'll put that on our baking sheet just like that. I'll do another one here for you. It's kind of like making dumpling or dessert dumpling. Now, I've never made dumplings, but I really want to. So one of these days, I'm going to make you guys dumplings. Voila, a baby fruit pie. And I'm going to go through and do a whole bunch of these with my fruit. And then I will show you guys the end product. And I'll see if Lorelei would like to taste them and see what she thinks of them. One last thing I'm going to do, which I almost forgot, is I am going to take these, all right? And when I get them on my baking sheet, I'm going to take some melted butter and I'm going to lightly brush the shells. This will let them brown up really nice and have an extra little flavor. And then, of course, when they cool down, I'm going to sprinkle them with powdered sugar. All right, let me get to work. And I'll see you when I get something good to eat. All right, so here's the exciting finish. We have our beautiful little baby or miniature pies. Fried, these are the non-fried fried pies. And this is how they come out of the oven. I've let them cool down, but you can see that they've browned up nicely. And you can see by using that pan that has all those little bumps in it, the air was able to get under it and turn it nice and brown and cook it well. These are the finished product. These have powdered sugar sprinkled on them. And I'll have a close-up picture of all of this. But it's time to taste it. You ready? If you like fried pies that you might find at Jollibee or McDonald's or all these other restaurants, if you like those, remember, you can simply make these at home. You can make them healthier because I didn't fry them, I baked them, so that cut down the calories. I reduced some of the sugar content, so it makes it a little bit healthier. But these turn out wonderful, folks. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you make some at home. And I'm going to finish eating a couple of these. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Stay safe.